Hello. Firstly, thank you very much for the positive response about the first video. That was lovely. So today I would like to talk about character and story. Depending on the type of story, I think, and depending on the type of writer, some people get the idea of characters first and then they will come up with the world to place them in. Other people will come up with the world, but the focus for them would be the story. However, for the former, the focus would be the emotional journey that the characters go on, rather than the actual A to B location and setting and plot. That's just my personal observation, but it seems to be quite apparent the more I read and the more type of people I read background information on, and the more I look at interviews with writers, you do tend to get this common factor which crops up, which is if they come up with a place first, it will be a very good story, but sometimes they will be criticised for the lack of character development or the lack of emotional depth within the character. But sometimes if people come up with the character first, then often their world is in some way flawed, or some way it just doesn't allow the reader to quite engage as deeply. So which method is better? Which approach is better? And the answer is neither. I think for the most part I figured out which one I am. I usually think of a setting before I think of characters. And you shouldn't worry about which one you personally are. The more you read, the more you watch, and the more you write, the more experienced you become, and the more you will be able to tackle the side that you tend to not initially think of. Sometimes the style of writing will reflect your approach to thinking up ideas. In almost every case of a book being written in first person, that writer has often thought of the character first, and that is their window into the world. They will look through the eyes of that person quite literally, and sometimes that can be incredibly effective as a reader, and also it can take a toll on the writer as well. It isn't an easy thing to do, and often when I think of a setting, I will get the idea of a history of that place. I will get an idea of how the landscape physically and socially and also culturally has changed with the people that I choose to populate that place with. And by thinking like that, the world is incredibly detailed and the people as a collective are very detailed, but not so much, or not necessarily, the individuals. And that is where you have to start making a nice setting prepared for a story. You need to single out a couple of them characters. Sometimes it can be the key player, sometimes it can be the most insignificant person in that group, and you need to think about why they are in there. What is going to be said? What do they have to say about the world that they are in? And how do they react to other people, and how do they react to the world changing around them? That is a very good start to developing a plot out of a setting. And this is all personal opinion, and I would encourage people to question my personal opinion, not in an aggressive way, but in a constructive way. You might think that approaches are blurred and less separate than I have been making out in this video, and I would really want to know why. You personally might think of both at the same time. Thank you for watching. Comment or message, or if you've enjoyed watching this, please share it. I would love to get people involved with this idea of having an open forum about approaches and styles of writing. It would be fantastic to have some sort of community like this on YouTube. It would be brilliant. So, thank you, and have a good day, evening, or whatever.